everybody, welcome to our final Let's Chat session for this summer term. Reflecting back on the year that we've had 6 Ofsteds. We've had lots and lots of sporting activities that we've all excelled at. We've got together for different community events. Our youth parliament has been amazing, and we've had some big birthdays. So Ashbrook turned 40 years old this year, and Chestnuts a 70-year-old birthday they've had, so that's not to be sneezed at. So when you look back and think about how steeped in history our schools are, and they will be here for the next 40, 70, 100 years, it's really important the role that we're doing. Today we've got a real mixture of people on the sofa, and what's been nice is that we've had head teachers put in people from their schools forward to share activity. So we've got Jo from Chestnuts who's going to talk to us about what it's like being a science lead and how her enthusiasm for science goes, not just permeates through her school, but also how she would like to see it permeate throughout the trust. So watch this space on that one. So any science leads out there, please, Jo has told me that she's more than happy for people to contact her. We've got Montaz from Ashbrook School. She is a Futures Ambassador. So he's going to talk to us about what it feels like to be part of the Futures Pedagogy programme, but also what it's like between that contact between adult and child in the classroom using technology. We've got Jiri. Jiri's site manager. I think Jiri actually asked himself to come onto the sofa. He's so full of energy, so full of passion. He wants to just show that he's part of something bigger, and he loves his role at Glebe. And also we've got Laura Black. Laura, a speech and language therapist. We're in the luxury position in our trust to have a speech and language therapist, and we are going to advert for a second speech and language therapist, as is the need, and we all know that drive for the best start in life for our young people, but also our children that have got barriers. Laura's very much part of their progress. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. My first guest for this final Let's Chat session is Laura Black. Laura is our trust-wide speech and language therapist, and I'm really, really excited to be interviewing Laura today. Laura and I go way back to the time of Two Mile Ash. Do you want to just tell people who you are and what's your role?
Sure, I am Laura, and I am the Trust Lead Speech and Language Therapist, and I have been in the Trust since 2015. So this will be my 10th year, wow, which seems crazy. Previous to that, I was in the NHS. I started off in the Milton Keynes Schools team. Then I was employed by Two Mile Ash School full-time. And I think it was always our vision to have speech and language more available to our growing trust of schools, really. So it was always kind of in our minds that this is what we wanted to create.
So that is a huge difference then, isn't it? From being in one school. So could there be an argument of, well, how are you going to make the same impact over 8,000 children as you did over 700 children? How is it working?
Yeah, it took a lot of careful planning at the beginning, but luckily from my work in Two Mile Ash, we had sort of created a model where it wasn't just me going in, seeing children and that was it. There was always carryover with other staff members. There was lots of training for our amazing LSAs, HLTAs, teaching staff. So there was lots of CPD and training. So although it was a big change in leaving, I felt like I was leaving them in a really good place because they now had a set of really skilled staff.
It's scaling up, isn't it? So really it's about training and advising and guiding the adults in the organisation so they can impart that knowledge with the children on a day-to-day basis rather than waiting for you to arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have got so many talented staff who are really passionate about SEND, inclusion, speech and language, but also part of the plan has been involving parents as well, and seeing what offer we can put together for our parents. So we've run things like parental workshops, we've got online recordings for parents who've not been able to physically make it.
And our big strategies for this next year are carrying on the big inclusion agenda, but also carrying on the early years agenda. You know, the government is all about the best start in life. So that is all you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are flowing through both of them. How is that going?
Oh, it was so exciting because obviously I've come from primarily a Key Stage 2 school, and I have young children, so I have that personal kind of affection now for the early years. But it's been so good getting to be part of things like the nursery project, working with our school improvement team members to support with things like intensive interaction, looking into a trust-wide early screening tool, which was Welcome, which we've now set up in all of our schools. It's just been so good to work out how are we supporting children from the moment they get through our doors, and how are we kind of closing any of those language gaps early on, and then we can see the positive impact on that further up the school.
And I know I shouldn't say this, but this is a luxury model that we've got, isn't it? You know, it is so fundamental, so we shouldn't say it's a luxury, but with money so tight, having you, and I believe you are looking for...
We are currently recruiting for a team member. Yes, it's just really, really exciting.
It is, it's a real wow factor of our organisation. So the vision eventually happened. So we've been waiting since 2016, but you have had two beautiful children in that time. And we've got to say, Laura actually met her husband, Tom. We've got to do a shout out to Tom at 2 Mile Ash. So you are well invested in our organisation, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Thank you, Laura.
No problem, thank you. Oh,
so
I feel I got redder and redder throughout that.
Oh, you didn't? That was good.
Melted into the sofa.
So my second guest today is Jo Burton. Jo's from Chestnut School, and Becky, her head, has nominated her to come and sit on the sofa, much to Jo's dismay. But I think it's really, really important that we learn what's going on in the ground in schools, and we can learn from each other and take it into our own schools. So Jo, let's start with talking about you. Tell us, how long have you been at Chestnuts?
I've been at Chestnuts for 6 years. I've been a teacher for 27 years, which is quite a long time. I'm a Year 1 teacher, and I'm the science lead.
So tell me about that science lead then. Why are you sat here today?
I have an absolute passion for science. Studies show that generally around Key Stage 2, children start to not think that science is so important, especially girls. They don't want to pursue it. And I have a real passion for children going into the science. I really try hard to push science capital in my school. I've always got a competition on the go. I'm always thinking out of the box to try and do things. And one of the things that I have done this year is we did a science extravaganza in June to showcase all the fantastic science opportunities in Bletchley and Milton Keynes, and all the things that children can do at home.
When I was the head of 2 Mile Ash, I set up a room like a science lab, and my vision was having lots of children in little white coats with like mad professors making like experiments and stuff. How much hands-on do kids get now?
Well, obviously there's science in the curriculum, but there's always a science competition on the go. We've done something called Science Selfies, where I encourage children to take photos of them doing a science experiment at home, which then I have a group of science ambassadors. My Year 5s are my science ambassadors, which we train up every year. They have their white coats. We meet up and they have their white coats, and we have meetings to discuss how we can promote science capital.
What's the Ogden Trust? Have you been working with them?
So I'm an Ogden Trust hub leader. So for Bletchley, we have 2 schools in the trust that are also part of our hub. We also have another school in Bletchley, and we get together every term for a meeting. But I am always in the background trying to promote science within all our schools. So the Ogden Trust will give us funding. They've given us funding. In the first year, it's £2,500. Years 2 and 3, it's £2,000, and then in Year 4, it's £1,000. And that is literally to push physics in schools.
When I think about the children, obviously I do my youth parliament, so that is a way for the children to know they're part of something bigger. We do some PE activities. Tomorrow we've got IFTL's Got Talent for the infant schools. I'm just wondering what we could do across the trust, like even have a science day.
I am more than happy for anyone to get in touch
Heard
with me.
this.
Yeah. There are careers in the sciences that haven't even been thought of yet.
Absolutely. And how do we use, we've got now science specialists in secondary with Glebe. We've got the science labs. We could be taking children there to go and see the labs, work in the lab. Right. I'm coming after you, Joe. We need a science group, I think. And I know Susie over at Two Mile Ash, absolutely invested in science. Let's get a group together and maybe recreate the Ogden Trust across our group of schools. Thanks, Joe. I've really enjoyed speaking to you.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll have more science ambassadors coming through. And maybe this time next year you can sit here and tell me about how this group have got together, and we've got little mini scientists and professors all across the trust.
That would be amazing. Honestly, I am more than happy to help because this needs to be pushed.
Brilliant. Thank you. That was good.
Yes.
That was good. My next guest I'm very excited to be meeting today is Jiri.
Hello.
Jiri's been at the Trust. I'm a bit nervous as well because Jiri is quite a character, as you'll be able to find out. And Jiri's been in the Trust quite a few years.
Yeah.
8 years. Well, the Trust is only 9 years old, so you've arrived. So tell us who you are and how are you sat here today?
Yeah, so I'm site manager of Glebe Farm School. I started work in Brooklands Farm, which is join our Trust soon. Well, I opened a school, Cantus Way. Then I start work in White House Primary. I opened that school as well with Miss Kelly. And then I'm now site manager of Glebe Farm School. Amazing, outstanding school.
And Jiri, what's exciting about Jiri? Jiri absolutely loves his job, don't you?
Yes, I do.
What is it about, you've come to Glebe, it's much bigger than the other schools you just talked about. Yeah. The children are older.
Yeah.
What is it that makes Glebe special?
Yeah, it's a family. It's the parents love me in the gates, and it's the engage with the kids, and we just big family. It's just be happy and safe environment for the kids.
Glebe Farm is a sustainable
school. Yeah, we just have not extra solar panels. Very exciting project. We are fossil-free school. We just amazing. It's just amazing. It's very, very exciting to just get new things together with operation manager and you guys and with the kids.
Yeah. So, and sustainability is our big agenda. And I do know, unfortunately for Glebe, that with Youth Parliament, your electricity bill was always higher than everybody else's. But then you weren't spending on any other utilities. So,
exactly.
So that was your thing. Okay, so tell us about the older children then, because they are new to the Trust.
Yes, the older children is challenging. It's nice challenging with the older children. It's really lovely. It's different than the little children.
But I think you live our values on a day-to-day basis, don't you? I've seen the way you interact with those children, whether they're the little children or the older children or the big people in terms of the adults. And, it's really important spending time and talking about the roles that are professional services that are maybe not front-facing, but you can make them front-facing because every one of us is a cog in a wheel in our organisations. And when we are on the gate, when we are walking through the school, people see the brand, don't they? They see that sense of belonging to you. But I also know you belong to Glebe, but you're also being a massive ambassador for our trust. So
exactly, and I'm very proud to work for Glebe, and we all are family.
Yeah,
and it's lovely to have a good team, and it's not just me; thanks all the team.
But and you've got a team of people with you as well, haven't you?
Exactly,
so
yeah,
brilliant. Okay, Jiri, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And my final guest is Montaz. Montaz is from Ashbrook School. And what I've really liked about today's session is the enthusiasm of head teachers to celebrate publicly across the trust all the different things that we're doing in the different schools. It might not feel so good for the people sitting on the sofa, but by the end, you'll be glad you did it. But tell us about yourself, Montaz.
So I'm from Ashbrook School. I'm currently working in Year 2 as a class teacher. And alongside, obviously, I'm the Futures Ambassador as well.
And you were in another school, the IFTL school before that?
Yes,
weren't you?
I was at Heronshaw. And again, I worked pretty much through early years, Year 1 and Year 2. When I left, that's when the iPad had been introduced. So we had, a session with Rick from Sync.
Yeah.
And the rollout was just happening. So when I joined Ashbrook, it was pretty much fresh in my mind in how we're going to, launch this wonderful device for our children.
And a big shift, wasn't
Yes,
it? A big shift.
absolutely.
And I'm sure there's some people liked it, some people were scared of it.
Yeah.
So how did that bit land with people?
We've been on a journey, and I think we were the last school to receive our iPads due to different things. So January was our rollout, and at that point I was a little bit anxious because when I was attending all of the Futures meeting, everybody were confidently using them in class, and I was a little bit worried that my children, it will take them a little bit longer, and especially the staff needed that extra support. But actually, it was probably one of the best things for our children because they just got on with it, and they were absolutely brilliant in how they, became independent, but also quite self-sufficient in how they were using
And the children are more accepting than we are as
Yes,
adults, aren't they?
yeah.
And I think what we've got to do is be brave that we don't have to be 2 steps ahead of the
No,
children on that.
absolutely
We've got to
not, yeah.
learn with the children
Yes,
on it. And it's
yeah.
second nature to them, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, exactly what you said. So I just found myself, looking at my role, it had changed. I was no longer the facilitator. I was, like you say, learning and working alongside them.
And we're not just talking about enhancing learning, are
No.
we? We're transforming the way. And I've seen some amazing examples of how, like you say, teaching is changing
Yeah.
and children can be more independent. For special needs
Yes.
children, all the adaptability
Yeah.
features means that they can work on their
yeah.
areas themselves. Any anecdotal stuff that you can say in your class or in your school that you've thought, wow, that has just been
I
amazing?
think having been a Senko previously at Heronshaw, I'm a massive advocate of ensuring that children have equal opportunities regardless of their needs. And as the most progress that I've seen in my class has been those lower attaining children and children with SEND, and how, giving them a tool, it's taken away that barrier to their learning and how they can guide their own learning at their own pace. And that's been absolutely incredible throughout the school.
What about workload? Did it increase to start with and it's getting better now?
It did initially. And, my worry was, how are we going to do this? Where's the time to, put the support in? But actually, doing it bit by bit has really helped.
But I've been really encouraged. But when I watch children, their iPads are there, but
Yeah.
they are getting on in their books.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're using their iPad. So it's a good blend
Yeah.
rather than just all. Because I thought the children may be so excited about the iPad that they were obsessed with it, but it doesn't.
They see it
like
as a
that.
learning tool. There's rare opportunities for them to sort of go onto a certain app, when we've got a little bit of enrichment time, but otherwise it is a learning tool. And then it's amazing how they switch between the two. So they're writing, I need to just pop into my toolkit, I need this, and they'll do that and then they'll put it away.
Yeah,
So
just like we do.
Yeah.
So, and do you do the voice notes for children?
Yes, yeah. So that's gradually reduced. And what was amazing, I have got a particular child in my class who's, emotional well-being was, he found it really hard to regulate. And he was the one that I was doing a lot of voice notes to. And one day he approached me, I think this was back in spring, and he said, I don't want you to do that to me anymore because I can read. And I was like, okay. And I thought I'd just do a check-in. And he read what was on the screen. And he's like, I can read the questions and I can answer it myself. So I don't need your voice notes. And I was like, okay. For me, it was like hard to let go. But at the same time, I'm so proud that, he was able to voice that.
It's been a big investment across the trust, as you can imagine, financially and from a resource point of view and
Yeah.
time, but by the sounds of it, it really has been worthwhile. So,
Definitely.
so thank you for sharing an on the ground experiences.
Yeah. And I think being part of PedTech has been absolutely brilliant because, you know, it allowed me to go into different schools, but also to sometimes step back and just watch my children, because you're so focused in the teaching and the learning, you know, are they getting it? Are they not? That you don't allow yourself that time to just soak
It's
it all
that
in.
active research that I think with Fiona we've been
Yes,
learning, and,
yeah.
and I think she will continue next year. So we are trying to invest at every level, and the biggest thing for me is it's not about the technology;
No.
it's about the pedagogy
Absolutely. Yeah.
with the technology.
Yes.
Brilliant! Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
There you go. So done.
Sorry, I was like waving around a lot.
No, I do that.